Hey guys, welcome to the episode. Today's a jam-packed episode for you all. We got to speak about self-belief, mental toughness, how our self-development journey started. We got to talk about the best books, podcasts, and things we listened to in 2021. We got to answer some of your questions as well. A lot of you guys have been putting in comments about Ali being a bit more reserved coming out of his shell, learning languages and stuff like that. We answered them all. We hope you guys enjoy. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe.
I don't feel that strong in myself.
True.
I was 60 kilos at the time, on the dot pretty much. And I remember the first time I benched, I did 7.5 each side.
Yeah.
That was my strength. And then I remember
7.5 kilos?
Yeah, each side.
Yeah. Considering today, that's a journey and a half.
Yeah, man.
But that was the first time I benched. And then I remember Ali got cut on me bad. Because he told me lift up, and then he couldn't do anymore, or he was struggling. So I went and grabbed the bar and lifted it. Halfway through a bench rep. This guy's like, what are you doing? You can't do that. I'm still pushing. And then
he's
I like when I see sometimes people you see them hit good numbers and stuff. You're like, damn. But then you train with some people, they look good, and then it's they can't lift as much. But then and then you lift with them and you're like I'm stronger than you. But then you go lift with someone else who actually trains hard.
Yeah.
They lift more than you. It's you kind of always should try to be the weakest person in the group. And it kind of just keeps pushing you up. If you're the strongest, you're going to kind of plateau.
True.
But then it's okay, boom, you keep training with different people. They're like, damn, these guys are beasts.
You got to be selective with who you... I don't know about you guys, but I don't know, in the gym, I'm pretty selective with who I train with. You know what I mean? If you get hit up and say, hey, let's go train in the gym. Because sometimes, bro, how you got a mindset where, all of us were pretty similar in the gym. In the sense that we would want to go bang out a workout and try hitting some nice numbers, or just at least getting that that nice dopamine hit after the gym. But there's some people that just they go for just get in the reps and all that kind of stuff. So you got to be pretty selective with who you go in the gym with sometimes as well, because some people don't have that same that mentality. You know what I mean? In terms of for us today when we were hitting our session this morning, and we're hitting we're going up, bro. That G up feeling that I was getting.
Did it actually G up?
Did I actually G up? Yeah. Bro, when I hit my PB that I was aiming to do, mind you, because I had it in my mind, I didn't know when I was going to hit it because I was taking it seriously in the sense that it's just not to add another weight. Because there's a big difference between ego lifting and actually you versus you. Because when you're ego lifting, you're versing the person who's got the highest number, amount of weights in the gym, or your mate that's obviously lifting heavier than you. But when it's you versus you, you got to set up plan and you know when you're ready for that. And when you finally reach that knowing where I called Waleed on the drive home. No, I didn't not to tell him I hit that that weight, but I told him, hey bro, I got a quick question. When we started first, because me and him started training about a year ago, roughly at the start, and I said,
are you lifting the same?
I used to think Waleed was lifting more than me. He told me no, I was lifting more than him. But in my head, I always thought Waleed was always about 5 kilos, so 5 on each side, more than me. So I called Waleed and I said to him, hey yo Waleed, what was I hitting? And he goes, oh, you were hitting that much. I go, was I hitting more than you? You were hitting more than he goes, no, you were hitting more than me.
Okay.
I said, bro, guess what I hit today? And I told him. And he goes, nah, no way. And I said, nah, because you should have seen it as well. I was hitting it on top of the fact that, and mind you, this is all the dopamine after the gym.
Of course, yeah.
I was hitting that, and it was a full working set. It wasn't just hey, I lifted that today. And he goes, yeah, bro, wallah, you can hit this going forward. And I'm just it's wallah, that.
And
that.
Honestly, you didn't, from what I saw, you didn't struggle that much, bro.
Yeah.
You hit it nicely, man.
Other than
so I can see
hips.
the potential, bro. Unlimited right now.
Nah, 100%. Other than the hips, and that's where I got to work on strengthening the hips. The whole idea of squats helping your bench.
Yeah.
Because I think I can probably hit 10 times more if I bloody hell work on those.
Yeah, it's a thing, you just got to keep training it.
Nah,
but that's why you train with people that kind of lift you up. That's why Ali and I, if we kind of at the same level, when we push each other, it's okay, hectic.
You get that. And
And
also, Ashraf, going back to the whole the early days of pushing each other and stuff, the reference when he was making towards the Bunnings beanie and all that kind of stuff.
The push-ups.
That was the first workout we ever hit together.
Yeah, was that the first?
Yeah, first workout. Yeah.
Whoa,
bro, it was reminiscent of that time. And mind you, me and Ashraf were always trying to one up each other at that time. You can admit to that, yeah?
Serious?
Yeah, 100%. We were doing different type of workouts. Cause I'm telling you, I think by the last workout we were doing, I didn't even have any muscle left in me, in order to lift myself. You know how we're struggling with the push-ups and we're just going to failure?
Yeah.
It's I was how far can this guy go, bro? Yeah. And it's but it's nice having that, And the good thing about it is it's also good to have people of a similar mindset on that, that mental toughness journey. You know what I mean?
100%.
Because you sort of attract that. I think that's one thing that brings all of us boys together,
Was that your first year uni, by the way? 2018.
2018. Yeah, it was.
Because it was 2018 Ramadan, so it was about May. That was the first time we hit a workout together.
Context, it was a 1 a.m. session as well.
Was it?
What?
Why were you doing it at 1 a.m.?
Because Ramadan, you stay up and stuff.
Late.
And so we're hitting a session, and we're doing like, the only video we have is we did like incline bench, and then flies, and then push-ups.
Push-ups, yeah.
3 in a row, hard, and we're hitting failure, and we keep pushing. And it was that thing where we kind of learned that you have to keep pushing in the gym. Like even winding up each other, it's not a bad thing.
Yeah.
Because we kind of just kept pushing, like, we weren't injuring ourselves. It wasn't to that extreme. But it's like you can train harder in the gym.
Exactly. And the whole idea of like, even when David Goggins speaks about it in his books, like Can't Hurt Me, the whole thing about callousing your mind. You know what I mean? Sometimes it's like when you're on a journey with friends, like it's easier. Friends help in the sense that like you see them doing well, and it's like you take that competitive advantage and you go, okay, if he can do it, then I can do it type of thing. You know, but with the callousing your mind, then there's you as well. Because when it's just you versus you, it's like it's that mental barrier. It's just
because at the end of the day, like you said, your friends are there, but you're the one lifting the weight.
Yeah.
You know your limit. You know what, like your mind's trying to fight against you as well, and you know your comfort and all that. You got to push yourself, no matter how much support you're getting on the outside.
100%.
It's not easy. Easier said than done.
It's like Sharky when we listen to him talk in that video, and he's saying going to the gym and callousing my mind, becoming more disciplined in the gym, helped me in every other area in my life. And that's all the gym was. Like, if I can be strong and push myself mentally in the gym, other areas of life become so easy to push myself. Or I'm feeling like I don't want to do an assessment. Because the way you just push yourself in the gym when you hit failure, it's like, why can't I sit at my desk and type 100 words? And it's like, it made life so much easier early on. Because 100%. If you're disciplined there, but a lot of times when you don't take gym that serious, you're not improving like it's a muscle, the mental strength to push yourself when you're uncomfortable, and that just helps in every other area and just gets stronger and stronger. And
gym also is like one aspect of your life, you know. It's an easy example to, because like it's an evident, what do you call it, form of stress, you know what I mean? You go in there, put stress on your body to grow, and then like go back and forth and do the same thing over again. And sometimes not many people want to do that. But can I ask you guys, why do you go to the gym? That's probably a good question.
Initially it was for soccer. Like, as in, it was always like purely soccer. Okay, I have to do this because, prevent injuries or like get stronger and stuff. But now I'm starting to like reshape my identity at the gym and why I'm doing it. Yes, it's for soccer, but that's not the primary reason to it. So now it's all about like actually just pushing that threshold, like the mental threshold. And it was like, honestly, I could say it was like that, but it wasn't. I was like, nah, I have to go because I got training Tuesday, Thursday, so I have to go gym just to fill it in. Just rock up. But now it's like, nah, this is me against me, like
type of thing.
I'm actually having to put in the effort to see the result.
When was the first time you went gym?
I went early because
5-star, like when you used to go 5-star, like
but like Cedar days, like what? Cedar, year 11.
Okay.
So what, 18, 17?
16, bro. So I
first time you started?
I started going gym and that. So
on your ones?
No, so like they take us through gym sessions at Cedar. And they'll show us like exercise to do, and obviously then we get opportunities to work out some weeks and all that, like with the other soccer training and stuff. So then I started to go 5-star gym with some of the boys, like after school, before soccer training and stuff. But it was never like pushing my threshold. It was just like rocking up, doing the numbers, doing the reps.
This is like 11 and 12.
Yeah, early, bro. I started early, man. Like, but it was never really, like I said, like taking it to the next level. Because that mental toughness was never in me. I don't know if you noticed, but like my soccer seasons, me as a player, I have the ability. It's there. I know what to do. But the mental toughness, like it didn't exist. And it's something I had to develop or like kind of learn the hard way, I guess.
That's true.
So it's like I don't know about you guys. Did you guys start that early or?
Like for example, with the topic of gym, I never really went gym before Jordan.
Oh,
that was the
that's
first time.
right.
So Ali took me gym the first time.
I
That's why I want to ask.
I was going to ask you,
me.
Did he do the older brother thing where he showed you the ropes?
Yeah, literally.
Yeah, I
love
did.
that.
Yeah, I did. I remember that because you left after year 12.
Yeah.
Jordan. So year 12, I was trying to push him like, come on, man, like you should go to the gym. I don't know his real reasons why I didn't. But maybe he wanted to just like, no external like pressure or people even questioning, oh, you go to the gym, like kind of know. You want to do it in your own time.
I don't remember you going gym and saying like, hey, let's go.
Yeah, see?
Because you probably went after school with your mates. So how am I going to get there when I went to school by bus? So I'd come home, I'd play soccer, I would go to work, and I tried to work a lot in year 12. Like as much as I could. I was doing like 2-3 jobs to save for Jordan. That's all I did. Just like save as much as I could, and I don't remember gym being an option. until we went to Jordan.
Yeah, I didn't really encourage it because I was just doing it because I felt like I had to. It wasn't really like a hobby.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a very interesting thing. And then Jordan was the first time I was taking you.
Do you remember when I
showing you?
remember the first time when I didn't want to go, but do you remember like why you wanted to take me? See how you said like soccer in Jordan, you know, you're playing soccer. That's what I'm trying to think.
I
like,
just knew,
yourself busy.
yeah,
like it sounds weird, but I have like a good strength base, like from a young age, starting so early, gym.
Yeah.
And I could see that like that's something you could work on with your soccer ability. Your soccer ability obviously was clear, like by far, but then it's like exactly skill wise. So the strength aspect was like needed to work on. So I knew that will benefit you. Mental benefits, I didn't even know that was even a thing to gym. Like honestly, I just thought, okay, this is part of what you do when playing sports. Yeah. And then I took you. I remember the first day, bro. Like I think we walk there?
Probably, yeah.
We can't forget your first day.
But like it was so hard to push him, bro, because I can't remember if it was the first week of going to Jordan, but like even just the whole idea of going for the first few sessions, I had to just keep encouraging him, like, let's go, come on, man, like let's actually go to the gym. Like we'll delay it to go later in the day.
Why didn't he want to go? Was it
obviously it's his first time? Like
okay, true.
Something you don't do and you're unfamiliar with, you're just gonna keep procrastinating. Yeah. And obviously, maybe it's just like it's an uncomfortable thing. I don't feel that strong like in myself.
True.
I was 60 kilos at the time, on the dot, pretty much. And I remember like the first time I benched, I did 7.5 each side. Yeah, that was my strength. And then I remember like
7.5 kilos.
Yeah, each side.
Yeah, considering today, that's a journey and a half.
Yeah, man.
But that was the first time I benched, and then I remember like Ali got cut on me bad because he told me like lift up, and then he couldn't do anymore, or like he was struggling, so I went and grabbed the bar and lifted it like halfway through a bench rep. This guy's like, what are you doing? You can't do that. I'm still pushing. And then I remember like my brother getting angry at me in the gym. I'm like, why is this guy getting angry at me? So that was funny, you know?
Yeah, I don't remember that.
Yeah, but that's like my first experience, you know?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but the thing is with the gym, maybe because I was so skinny, like I was 60 kilos, I was pretty skinny, and then I see other people in the gym being strong and stuff, but training, like physical exercise wasn't new to me. Yeah. Like I think I was maybe year 8. Yeah, year 8, I started going 5-kilometer runs by myself, push-ups, pull-ups, dips, core stuff. And I was like I was actually like at a peak fitness pretty level because you remember Ismail? At the time, he used to play South Melbourne under 18s. Yeah. So he's under 18s, I'm 14, and he'll tell me, he goes, okay, in the mornings I do this training. Yeah. And I go to his house because I used to go to school with him. And then he goes, I'm eating eggs, cucumbers, olives. I'm on a strict diet. I'm on this. I'm like, what the what is this? You know, he's like an older brother kind of thing. Yeah. So I'm like, okay, bismillah, let me start doing it myself every single day. I remember I did the entire Ramadan that year. Right before iftar, I used to go for a half an hour run. Right before iftar. I used to post again? Year 8 and 9, like at school. And that's what I used to do. And I used to like, I was into like parkour, calisthenics and stuff. But I was never like into gym. And I didn't know the benefit. Parkour. But it's like a normal thing to me, like to train and stuff. Because I wanted to take soccer serious. Like I wanted to try to play MPL and stuff like that. And then after that, I just stopped. Like I don't know why I stopped. But I just kind of like, maybe because maybe started working.
Yeah, that was that too. But what was the goal in mind when you were training? It was just to...
Probably soccer. I loved soccer. Like that year was, you know, like Heidelberg Stars. You won the state championship, stuff like that. And I wanted to play MPL. You want to make it when you're 14. True. So I probably just for soccer. Yeah. And then when I actually started gym properly was like maybe post Jordan. And that's when we started training with you. Like that's when we really started to actually like know what we're doing. Because in Jordan, there's me and Ali, and we weren't watching YouTube videos. True. So there's a couple guys in the neighborhood that don't know what they're doing as well. So we're kind of just ahead going.
And post Jordan, you're at that age where you become an individual. Yeah. You've left school. You've just traveled on your own with your brother for like a whole, I don't know how long you guys were going for. Was it a year? Yeah. About a year. And then now you're starting to do different things. You're driving a different car back then. I don't know if you remember. Allahu Barik. Wallah, it was good days. But then also as well, your circle, as in all the boys that we're hanging around with at the time, were all starting to go gym at the same time. But gym was more of a like it was like a level that you had to unlock. You know what I mean? It wasn't because everyone wanted to become big or strong. It was just more of a hey, I go to the gym type of thing, rather than hey, I'm gonna try and get
the gym helped with the mental journey. But I think for me, when I came back from Jordan, I kind of like, because in Jordan you do so much every single day. You wake up at the Fajr, you got class, you got Quran, Arabic. There's always something going on, and you have to be like making the most of your time. You come back here and you see your friends, and they're like you're not doing a lot with your time compared to what you're doing back when you're studying the deen overseas, or, you know, trying to make the most of your time. It's a very different mindset to here. So you come and you're like, we're not doing enough here. So we started seeing the mental side of it, where it's like you don't have to do much to exceed here.
Yeah.
Like people back in third world countries, 16-hour days like it's nothing.
Yeah.
Here, I do 8 hours and go, but I'm wrecked for the night.
True.
You know what I mean? Like the threshold's different. But I think
It's fine.
No, water's fine.
Yeah, I started getting into the mental toughness and mental journey as soon as I started working with Sam.
True. Yeah.
Because Ali and I came back from Jordan March.
Yeah.
And then April, first time I got a job after Jordan, I started working till 5 a.m. in the mornings.
I remember these days. You were working with Idris at this time too.
Yeah, Idris too.
And the Audible books and all that kind of stuff.
So I used to work with Idris and I worked at Woolies and stuff. So I did 5 a.m. every single day. And I drove, but I didn't have a car a lot of the time, you know? So Sam used to come pick me up.
Yeah.
Sam Kikembo, he came on the episode.
Shout out to him.
He used to wake up at 3:30.
Yeah.
And then do his stuff. He lived like 10 minutes from the airport, Talamoni, where we used to go. But he used to come to my house, take me. We used to chat every single day. We used to go to work together, chat. So that's where he was doing MMA, doing BJJ, and he kind of taught me like important reading books or journaling. You know, that's why I bought my first journal. That's why I first made my first year goals. And he told me books to read. So he kind of really put me in that direction. Even podcast. I never listened to podcasts. And then I used to see him go, I wake up at 3:30 and I do my uni work for 45 minutes. Then I come pick you up. We go work 5 to 1. Then I go work from 1 to 5. Then I go BJJ. I'm like, I see my mates who I used to be with before Jordan. They're doing nothing.
Yeah.
This guy's doing so much. Let me match that. So then I'd go, I'd work 5 to 1. I'd go uni 2 to 6, soccer training 8 to 10.
Yeah.
And I'd go gym after that.
Yeah.
I have videos of doing that. And I'm like, how did I even used to do that? Thought of it.
Crazy.
But Sam kind of taught me that, like, if you want to be successful, you got to be willing to put in the work. And I used to hear it every single day.
And he didn't push it down your throat, did he? It was more of a environmental thing.
The thing is, I wanted it because I came back from Jordan and I want to push myself. And he's like, what did you do today? What are you doing tomorrow? Did you do this? And then we kind of used to chat. So I was worked there for like 5 months. And then Ali kind of like was the same thing. Like he got a job at Toll, worked there for a bit, but used to hear the same things. He was mates with Sam. So the same kind of thing.
Yeah.
But the first time I really switched on with gym and the mental toughness was when I did the 100 days.
Yeah.
So that started at about September.
Yeah.
So that year, it was like...
after Jordan.
Pretty much that year.
Yeah.
So it's pretty much like that year was told 5 a.m.s and I kind of learned I got to push myself. So I was pushing myself. In about September, I left and I went to Woolies. And that's the day I walked into get the job, like first day of induction, Idris is there. And I didn't know he was there. First day, every single shift for the rest of our job for like 12 months was together. Same time. So we drive together every single day. You know, that's why we went overseas. We used to chat.
Exactly.
And then...
he lived around the corner, that's why as well.
Yeah, alhamdulillah. So then when I started 100 days, you know Yusuf Muhammad, who got an app, he inspired me to do it.
The 100 days,
Because he made a soccer page where he used to do day 1, day 7, day 45, and he used to post his soccer workouts, but he did every couple of days. So I said, why don't I try 100 days, every single day post? Gym, Islamic books, all that stuff, a bit of mixture. And that's where I started putting in the work. It's like, I have to post a workout for you guys, and I have to keep pushing. Day 23, I was doing this. Let me go do that. And I started training with people. And I used to work 6 a.m. So I'd go gym 4:30. And it's like... That's
when the Malcolm X autobiography came into place. I remember one day we were at uni, we were chilling or something like that. And I don't think I'd seen Ashraf the whole day, but it was like towards the end of the day, we were just quickly linking. I was like, oh, he's at uni, I'm at uni, bet. We're linking. He goes, bro, I haven't done a post for today. I haven't done a post for because I think it was like day something or something like that. And that was one of the most legendary photos. You know which one it is?
When me taking in when I'm sitting down reading.
And your back is to me and then it's like me taking that photo. It's like one of my favorite photos. And it's like that's when I realized, oh damn, me and Ashraf like that's when we started to like low-key we had a connection before that.
You see the mutual interests.
There was like that mutual interest. He would be explaining it to me every single day. And then that's when the whole gym sessions at Iron Kingdom started. You know what I mean? Where, for example, random days, what would happen is like, oh, we'll go to the gym. And then what would happen is, bro, wallahi, I'm telling you, I would not be feeling going to the gym in the morning. But because Ashraf was going to the gym, and because the gym was closer to my ends than his ends, and he had to drive down, you know what I mean? I'd look at his text and I'd be like, I'm hoping he doesn't send me a text. I'm like, I hope Ashraf doesn't send me a text. If he sends me a text, then I have to go to the gym.
And you feel like you need to keep up as well with like
100%. And then that's where that whole mental toughness started. But I was gonna say, do you think you like acquire mental toughness, or is like a thing you have within you and it just due to certain interactions or opportunities it just burst out of you?
Like with the hard working side of things, I think I've always kind of like had it. Like growing up playing sports, you know, my parents kind of taught me that. But it's 100% something developed. Like you might have the trait to be hardworking, be competitive, but it's something I kept developing. Like that 100 days taught me, like those 100 days I don't even know. I missed day 50 and 71. Both days I watched the movies with my mum. I spent time with my mum. Day 50 and 71. That's the only 2 days I missed out of the 100. And it taught me like every single day, there's no days off pretty much. Obviously I missed 2. It happens. But Ali would knows at 10 p.m. what should I name the post? What should I do the caption?
There were so many days. Like for people to look at, you know, on the outside the box and see 100 days, like, you know, I could do that, you know. But it's actually, it takes a lot of effort, not just the post, but actually doing something every day, like testing yourself. That's not easy.
And you have to make something interesting, like, you know. So I was 19 at the time and I did that. And that kind of gave me the first step to mental toughness. Like that's what introduced me. Like, for example, reading. I used to read a lot, podcast. And then 2 weeks after I do the mental toughness, I tear my ACL. I finished December 10, Christmas Day, I tear my ACL.
Wow,
And then it's like, that was like the big jump to other things, you know?
And after that, you had that time where you were alone. Like when you were having the surgery. And a bit of reflection and stuff.
But how about you guys? When did your mental toughness journey start? What kind of inspired it, or?
You want to go, Ali? Hit yours.
Oh, for me, I was okay.
Yeah.
Bro, you know the thing is, like with Sam, I was working with him as well, like at the same place. When I think when you left, you moved on. I didn't have those type of convos. Like, yes, I probably, no, actually I didn't know him as long as you, but then I never had those convos. So like mental toughness wasn't really, just personal development actually in general, was never really something I spoke about often. It's something I didn't really have. You're saying about like the trainings early on, and I even know when you played soccer, like on the pitch, there's a clear difference in like you and your opponents with like, you know, taking it to the next level, big games, you know, being a big player in the big games. I feel like I was the complete opposite, bro. I remember looking back, honestly, at some junior games, I'm thinking, crap, we're playing the top team. I don't want to verse them. Or like, I just like, oh, like, I don't want to play today. Like, I don't feel like, and this is like the sport I love. But then I don't know what it is. Obviously, there's deeper roots to it I'm figuring out, but it's like,
do you see yourself as competitive?
I reckon I've developed it over like recently,
Yeah.
but then I'm very selective with it.
Out of 10, how competitive do you think you are?
Oh, I don't want to use 7.
Yeah.
I'll say 8. Yeah.
Okay.
But in the past, I'd say 5 or 6.
Yeah.
So the competitive nature is something you've also developed along with the mental toughness.
100%, because the mental toughness comes with like self-belief and all that through your trainings, through I would say through your trainings, like, you know, actually working hard, improving and all that. So like, it's weird. Like, obviously we live in the same house, same parents and whatever, but different journeys, like in terms of like
personalities you have.
Exactly. Like, I'll say, look, like, honestly, if you think about it, I went to Cedar, like a soccer academy. I was training twice a week with the academy, twice like NPL, and like we went to the gym. I said, like, they showed us around the gym. It's there, put on a plate for me to make it.
And you weren't peak fitness. Like, you weren't peak health.
Exactly. I wasn't peak health or fitness, and I'd say that should have been. Those are the opportunities right in front of me, but it's like it shows it's more than that, and I didn't take those opportunities. Alhamdulillah, whatever. Like, things
everything happens for a reason.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But it's just like, wow. Like, looking back at it, it's like I didn't really have that. Even when you say, like, if you were to ask me even now, like, when was your peak fitness? I honestly don't know. Like, it could have been then, but then is that really peak fitness? Like, in my eyes, like, it's just those type of things where my mental toughness and actually like training hard, self-development, all that, that journey, it probably started 2019.
Yeah. When podcast?
Like when I changed unis.
Was that start of the year?
No, Vic Uni.
That's when, like,
when
the journey
did
started.
that? Like, when in 2019 was
like properly,
March
like
2019.
Marchish,
Okay.
Like, he became conscious of it.
Because you started the podcast in July.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
So I'll say that year, and all before that, like, even you said you worked a lot of hours at work. You know, I didn't work that many hours.
He was sending me deadly podcasts before we started the podcast.
Yeah.
You know that?
It could have been that year.
Yeah,
it's like that's why I got into it. It's like, whoa, this is mad.
Well, remember when we were first discussing let's start the podcast, I said, yo, I want to do it with Ali. You know what I mean? Because I was like, the whole idea of, okay, damn, he's on this mindset wave, this wavelength. I was like, khair, all right, bet. You know what I mean? I mean, Ali and I weren't the best of us friends, you know, but we had that, like, that common interest or whatever. It's like,
exactly.
all right, bet. You know, so you probably, I guess you became conscious of the journey then.
Yeah.
But then also when we first started the podcast, it wasn't still like clearly instilled with you like the way that it is now.
Yeah. Oh, 1000%. Like, at the start, it was just like I was still, you know, learning a few things about like the YouTubers and stuff that actually like changed my perspective. It's like, oh wow, he thinks like I do. Like, you know, figuring out people think like you or go through certain things.
Was there like a YouTuber or podcast that you listened to that kind of flicked the switch? Because for example, you had me who was doing 100 days in 2018, and that didn't inspire you. Do you get it? Where it's like you're literally you literally used to work out with me, and you'd see me every single day pushing myself, and that didn't. And that's where people think like if you have a brother or sibling that's pushing themselves, doesn't mean it's gonna flick a switch.
Yeah, even though it's right in front of you. Yeah, exactly.
So I guess it comes down to maybe I'm speaking for you in this case. The whole idea of self-belief. You know what I mean? When you develop, I guess, that confidence or that awareness within yourself, then you can have that conversation of where you want to be, where you want to go. Because if I don't know what I want, or if I'm not inspired by myself within myself, then how can I be inspired by Ashraf or like the next person or this type of person? Because I don't even know what I want, I guess, out of life or out of the gym or out of Cedar, or if I want to do it.
Yeah, exactly.
Would you say that?
You're doing things for like external factors or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And that's when, like when I said I changed unis to like Vic Uni, it's like I generally made that decision to go to do that degree, enroll in it because I want to. Yes, my parents helped me get into it, but it's like, no, I actually want to do it. I'm here for a reason. This is one of my goals for me. It's like, whoa, I can actually make my own decisions. Like, you know, like not just, you know, being influenced by external factors. And that's where the self-belief starts. Where it's like, okay, this is my journey. This is what I like to do. I can.
Was there a thing, like for example, I just realized now, I started believing I was mentally tough when I started going gym and training harder than other people and doing more in a day. In 2019, was there something that made you believe, like, hey, I need to get like me mentally stronger. I need to start doing things I actually enjoy doing, like you're saying with uni. Was there like a area in your life that you're like, okay, now I'm gonna push? You know, was it soccer? Was it, you know?
I wouldn't say there was a specific area, but you were even saying before when you came back from Jordan, your perspective was recognizing like the use of time management. So like I felt like that was developed early. So it was just a thing of figuring out what I want to do, which is like kind of a big thing. Even though like time management skills has improved over time, being overseas, independence slightly. So it's like it's all moving towards the right thing, but it's like, okay, but what do I want to do? It's like kind of still figuring out, which isn't easy. Like
it's still figuring now?
No, okay. Like I do know that inshallah teaching is the way to go for me. So but then on that journey, like, you know, post high school and stuff, it takes a while to like figure out what you want to do, because you finished year 12, you went straight to Jordan. I did, I think, a year and a half of uni, but then I wasn't even sure what I was going to do. So we were kind of in the same boat, even though it's like different ages, whatever. So it's like we're going through the same thing kind of, where it's like you come back from Jordan, you don't know what you want to do. Yes, you got these skill sets, but then it's like you still got to figure out what you want to do with your time, how you want to spend it, what the type of people you want to be around.
Yeah.
So I think once I figured that out, then it's like, okay, there's self-belief, and then the self-development journey is actually a thing where it's like, it's kind of life-changing.
Bro, self-belief is actually ridiculous.
Yeah.
You saying that, it makes me realize of one of Nassim Talib's book that I was reading, I was listening to the other day. But continue on this. The whole concept of mental toughness and self-belief are two different like areas. Yeah. And I know this conversation, obviously this podcast is more about mental toughness and whatnot. But even the idea of developing self-belief or understanding, like when man becomes conscious of himself, that is such a powerful concept, you know what I mean? Because often whenever we go throughout days of life, like it's just, hey, I woke up. It's like a phase that I went through during like just prior to COVID and the end of the year, where you wake up, you go to work, you see your friends, you do this, and then, but you're not like constantly aware. It's like the same thing even with the gym. Sometimes you go for the gym just to hit the weights and all that kind of stuff, but then once you're consciously going there and saying, hey, today or within this time frame, like what you guys do in the sense that like you go, hey, we're on a 6-week training regime, where we're going to cycle that off. So then after 6 weeks we're going to try something else to like trick our muscles. The whole idea of being conscious in what you do is such a powerful concept. Even like with work, let me bring up the quote right now because it'll bring a bit of context to it. But I will just continue a little bit. I know, and I sent it to Asia the other day as well. He goes, they are born, put in a box, they go home to live in a box, they study by ticking boxes. They go to what is called work in a box, where they sit in a cubicle box. They drive to the grocery store in a box to buy food in a box. They talk about thinking outside the box, but when they die, they are put in a box. You know what I mean? And in order to get out of, I guess, the box or to get out of the square, you have to just be conscious of what you're doing, you know? And obviously that quote or whatever, what Nassim Talib said there, might resonate differently to people, you know what I mean? In the sense that, like, for me, like, I know, like, inshallah, like with the day that I die or like towards the end of my life, that I want to say, hey, I've accomplished certain things and I wasn't within the box of people. You know what I mean? So that's where the whole idea of like mental toughness and self-belief comes into. And even the whole idea of like even seek discomfort, why it sticks in my bio. That's, you know,
It's true. It's been there for years.
My Instagram bio, that seek discomfort, like I've gotten rid of my profile archive thingy. Closer? I was unplugged. Like even like my Instagram bio, like I've removed my profile picture, I've archived posts and all that kind of stuff. I've deactivated my account. I've gotten rid of like things in my bio. But one thing I've never ever got removed in my bio is the whole idea of like seek discomfort. We probably should speak about where that idea came from. But going back to it, it's just the whole essence of trying to be uncomfortable, because wallahi low-key, when you're in an uncomfortable state or uncomfortable environment, you're more conscious than ever. You know what I mean? It's like when I was going for my runs that I was telling you post-COVID, you know what I mean? In that like that 10 minutes, that 20 minutes where you have to run on your own, it's just like it's the most awkward, annoying thing in the world. But like you're aware of certain things. And the idea of being aware, you know, when you get those, moments where you're just like deeping like life randomly, you know what I mean? You go, oh wow, what kind of state am I in right now? And then your whole life to a degree like passes by you, you know what I mean? And then after you just look at things differently.
I know what you mean, bro. When you're pushing that threshold of your comfort zone, like for example in a run, I would think about random things like that. It's like, why are you even running, Ali?
Yeah.
Like, is this even worth it? You should be enjoying life. Like,
100%.
do something else. It's like, bro, that's when you are like, that's probably the most present you can be.
Exactly.
Slightly getting out of that comfort zone, which is easier said than done. But
especially when you don't see the results.
Exactly.
Sometimes, like for example, you said you've never reached peak health.
Yeah.
But you were doing so many things that's like, man, I'm putting in so much work and I'm not receiving or attaining the results I want. It's like that's where it starts becoming more difficult. Especially sometimes you read a book and you're like, that was a crap book. You listen to a podcast, you do all this stuff, and you see someone else get results quicker. It's like, what's that about, you know? I want to touch on, how about you? Like, when did maybe the self-belief start? And then from there, the mental toughness, or like, you know, the belief that you are mentally tough, or you want to work on that muscle.
I'd say I never really lack self-belief. Alhamdulillah, one thing I've always had was that whole idea. I've developed over time. I don't want to say like I've always had it from the get-go, but the whole thing with like comfortable in my own shoes and all that kind of stuff. But it's like my journey has been more about like navigating through that, trying to find who I am, going through different identities and all that kind of like jargon. But I'd say, and hence why I asked you that question earlier, but I'd say like I always had it within myself, but it would be like a spark, like due to certain interactions with people or certain environments or people that I'd get inspired to, it would come out even more per se. You know what I mean? But where would I say? I'd say the time that I became most conscious about it, probably when I left school, maybe same time as you, when we were like, because my first year was your first year coming back to after Jordan.
Early 2018, yeah.
Yeah, so it just merged into into the same time. And that's when we started watching guys like, that's where we got the whole idea of seek discomfort from, Theory. You know what I mean? And by the way, when you sent me that seek discomfort came from Ashraf. Because Ashraf, I think, was watching, he was watching Yes Theory. And then after he sent me this concept, I don't know how it started actually. Do I? Do you know how it started?
Was it a TED Talk?
You sent it to me. But I like the quote. I don't attach it to Yes Theory. I think later on I found out, I'm low-key stealing someone else's slogan this whole time. Like I low-key made it like my brand. Like,
you thought no one had it.
Yeah.
Claimed it.
And I'm thinking, where did Ashraf get this from? And then low-key, he started telling me Yes Theory videos. I'm like, hey, that's my thing. I was like, they've already trademarked that.
Yeah.
But like during that time, that's when I also started getting into the whole idea of reading and just becoming more conscious. And then alhamdulillah, like I had like good people surrounded around me, like even like inspiration from my uncles and my aunties, you know what I mean? And then like I've seen because you know that conversation you have with someone that's just older than you, that they've been there, done that, they've gone through that, and they've just like advised you. So I had that, alhamdulillah. And like I've always been a very inspired person. Like I look at someone doing well and I always want to do it to their degree and even better. So that's where the competitive nature comes into it. And then having the aspects of like the gym and all that kind of stuff is sort of...
Was there a person, podcast or book or anything that kind of like ignited the flame as well? Like maybe in 2018, it's like this book really helped me, finding out about Goggins or E.T. or someone. Like did that really like, you know?
No, I'd say not. Maybe like Les Brown to a degree.
Okay.
Because there was this time where I was listening to Les Brown religiously. And I know like when there was times where I wasn't as motivated, where I just needed that like little bit of spark, you know, because there's that difference between discipline and motivation. You know, when you lack that discipline, you just need to be like put back on your feet to start running again, just to be Jade up low key. Les Brown was always the guy, to the point where there'd be phrases there'd be phrases in his like little, I guess, motivational talks and all that kind of stuff where he'd be inspired by it. And I know I have mates, like for example, I won't name names, but I have mates, for example, who'd look at me and think, bro, like, why do you need to be motivated? Like, I know guys that like would say motivational talks and all that kind of stuff is like low-key like a to a degree.
I get it,
blur that out. But in the sense that like, why do you need it? Like, can't you get it within type of thing? But they don't understand it. It's just more of a pushing ground. You know what I mean? It's just to get you started, and what you do from there is up to you.
And also, it also can be a constant reminder.
Yeah.
So it's not. It's just like triggering the thought patterns again and stuff like that. If you get off track, it's not that. I wouldn't say it's that bad.
No, it's not. It's nothing bad at all. And if it works for you, then it sort of works as well. I think
early on in your journey, whatever's going to help you put in the work, you should do.
Yeah,
you know, until like you got to do what you love until you fall in love with it. You know, and like early on, I know I used to listen to Eric Thomas religiously. Every single video, I could pretty much say the whole script. Yeah. And I was like, that's what it took for me to start taking the gym serious. Yeah. And now I don't need that. Yeah. And that's all that matters. And like until it becomes a lifestyle, well, I do whatever it takes. If it takes you training with people, taking your time, going at night, listening to music or whatever it is, until you get to the habit of it being a lifestyle, whatever 100%. It takes, man.
And that feeling of also like one-upping yourself every single time is such, I don't know, man. Like if you haven't felt it before, it's such an addictive feeling. You know what I mean? Like unlocking that new step or something that you've put your mind to it. You know, I remember like when we hit 1 year of fair income, you know, because I said to myself also just before fair income was starting, I said, I want to start something that isn't in the, I guess, the normalities of like the mediocre lifestyle. Like I want to do something that isn't uni, isn't
so I want to get out of the box.
I want to get out of the box to a degree. And then when we hit 1 year of the podcast, and mind you, they say there's stats out there like, you know, they say in terms of content creating, you've got YouTube videos, you've got TikTok videos, you've got Snapchat accounts, or whatever. They say in terms of content creating, podcasting is one of the hardest. You know what I mean? Because first of all, it's long form content most of the time. And on top of that, like, how are you going to like persuade your listeners on a daily basis or on a weekly basis, like for us to continue to listen to you? You know what I mean? And to do that for a long period of time. I remember when we hit 1 year, I was just like, damn, that's crazy. I remember, for example, when we hit, was it 1K subscribers? I was sick as hell that day. And I sent you guys that video, something like that. I was like, oh, I don't even know if I sent it to you guys. I recorded a video. It was like at 1 a.m. and it gave me the notification, oh, we hit 1K. And I was just talking to myself into like a little bit of camera, you know, because it's like that G-up of doing something, and putting your mind to it, and then like unlocking that feeling. So chasing that feeling is one of the best feelings you can actually get.
I think doing a venture like this, because there's mental toughness in different areas, you know, like that kind of strength. So I think doing a venture like this, like running a podcast, trying to be consistent, it kind of taught me a different side of discipline.
For sure.
Which is something you have to work on, because sometimes when you enjoy the gym, it's easy to be disciplined. But in other areas, you got to become disciplined. Like, for example, like Ali with reading. The first couple months, me and you were reading books. Ali started the podcast, him, Suhail, and Abshir, like, these guys love books, Now Ali...
What was the joke?
Bro,
what was the joke?
No, we're talking about things like more things to like topics to do within us. I'm like, we're gonna do like sport. We're gonna talk about soccer and that. This was before any soccer episode, so we're super Jade. And then I think it was me or Sus. I can't remember. And like, I think it was Sus. I think it's
trainer, man.
And then he's like, we'll get up. And then Legendarii and Ashraf will do like book reviews and like what the
book club? They say a book club with a reading corner.
And we didn't even mean to like sound like that, but it sounded.
It became a running joke on top of that as well.
I know. And then subhanAllah, as soon as you read, you kind of enjoy it. But there was a lot of books that kind of, I think, ignited the flame in us. Like, for example, we all loved David Goggins.
For sure.
Like, he really kind of preached that mindset. Like, you just have to put in the work every single day.
Yep.
And we know how it is. You take a week off when you get sick and you get lazy. It's hard to come back.
Yeah.
So David Goggins, listening to him on Joe Rogan, we all read his book, listened to his audiobook. That he kind of pushed the mindset. And then after that, I think we kind of like listened to Kobe, Floyd, whoever, like all these guys that are successful in their sport. And it's like, damn, it takes work to actually get results. I think that was like a big thing with mental toughness. Like every successful person we know put in so much work. It's like absurd. It's like we have to do the same when we're early on, you know?
Even David Goggins as well. Like the whole idea that like, life is shit. Like to him, he was playing behind the 8 ball. You know what I mean? Like whatever like form of hardship that you can think of, he was already going through it, and probably worse type of thing. And it's like the whole concept of callousing your mind. Like, life is tough, but you just got to be a bit more tougher. You know what I mean? And that phrase is pretty subjective, because I can't tell you how tough your life is. And I can't probably put my feelings to it as well. But you just got to understand the fact that like it's all about giving that 1 inch every single day in your world type of thing. So little books like that. I was gonna ask you boys. Should we do the podcasting?
If you want, yeah. But even now, like for example, I started watching there's documentary series, like there's different documentaries on the CrossFit World Championships. Like throughout the years, maybe we'll do episodes soon after I watch them all.
Yeah.
But I just watched one for like 25 minutes.
Yeah.
It was Fittest in Dubai, I think 2017 or something. And I'm watching and I'm seeing how these guys work. Then it's igniting a flame in me. It's like, I can go put in the work as well. Yeah. And then you realize, like, doesn't matter what level you get to, even if gym or any area of your life is normal, that extra push isn't a bad thing. Like, it's good. Take it, if you train with someone and they're going to kind of push you to go a bit harder, or like take it in and use it for as long as you can, And it's like, you realize, because it's a journey, bro. Yeah. And as soon as you stop, it's hard to get back. I know for me, when I did surgery, ACL, and I did it in May, and then like the next year, March, I was 9 months. And that's when I said, okay, now at 6 months, you can start doing weightlifting and start doing some things. And then 9 months is when you should go back to normal. And exactly then is when gyms started closing. So it was very tough. It was like gyms closed pretty much for a year. Yeah. So it was a year. It's like gym was a normal thing to me, and training, pushing myself. And it's like 9 months I couldn't because ACL. And then a year, and before that, so like 2 years I didn't go gym. It was hard to get it back. Yeah. But then as soon as you do it, it's that mental switch. It's like, David Goggins talks about, like, you got to one-up yourself and you got to one-up other people. Yeah. It's like to put, Yeah. And it's
love it, David Goggins.
Yeah.
Who's going to carry the bolts on the lawn? Stay home.
They don't know me, son.
So what we're going to do, we're going to say, I'd say mine's going to be my top 21 of 2021, sorry. Top 5 of 2021. Okay. Podcast that obviously I'm going episodes, by the way, not actual podcast.
Yeah. Okay. Remember, you didn't tell us this, so we are not the most prepped for it.
Yeah. This is all just last minute. So if it makes it to the episode, then he makes it to the episode. And while we're speaking about the episode, guys, make sure to like, share, subscribe. Get us to 3K within the next 3 days, inshallah.
Yeah. Let's see what you got.
Let me find the podcast.
So go say top 5 podcast of 2021. Let's go.
So mine, Naval and Tim Ferriss. I probably should have included the actual thing. So number 1, Naval and Tim Ferriss.
On which platform?
On Tim Ferriss's thing.
Okay.
It's just Tim Ferriss podcast, I'm pretty sure. How I built this, especially the episode about the lady who built Canvas.
Okay.
Canvas is that Canva. And also the guy who built Airbnb. Those 2 episodes, deadly episodes. Okay. Sorry, 3 episodes. Tim Ferriss's episode, Canva episode. The Canva one especially because I feel like a lot of people relate because she's a young girl. She grew up in Australia, Western Australia too.
No, she Aussie?
Bro, she Aussie girl, 90 years old. Her and her boyfriend 19 years old. At the time when she was developing Canva, she basically, and shout out to Asia for suggesting me this episode. I got to put her on for this, yeah? But basically, her and her boyfriend, I think their end of high school year or something like that, they decided, hey, let's do like a high school book, that type of thing. It goes, but let's actually do a proper one. And that's what the whole idea of Canva does, where you can put it online and whatnot. And one day she was going through conferences, and some guy from Silicon Valley came to Western Australia doing a conference. She basically pitched the idea to him, and then her and her boyfriend were like, all right, bet, let me start out running. So essentially they would start putting out their pitching the idea to schools around the area. So everyone would come to them and start doing the printing for their high school books, but they couldn't do that and keep that up, you know what I mean? So her boyfriend would stay in Western Australia and actually continue doing the printing while she went over to Silicon Valley, which is in California, I'm guessing. And she would meet the guy that they met at the Western Australia conference, and later on he pitched in his idea. Some guys at Google got involved in it, and now it's $1 billion company. So basically the whole idea of the podcast is guys that built successful brands, and they just speak about their journey. So shout out to, I should probably know her name. Number 3, Conor McGregor and Tony Robbins. Conor McGregor, Tony Robbins episode, biggest
on Tony Robbins podcast?
On Tony Robbins podcast. Essentially, basically, Conor McGregor speaking about his idea, where he started from, and the whole idea of mental toughness. You know what I mean? Because Conor McGregor, very, very controversial guy, you know, but he does not care about anyone. He goes to me, he speaks about the whole concept of being witty, you know, because that's something Conor's really known for. He's known for his mouth, you know, pause. But he goes, there's toughness and there's strength. And he goes, Tony Robbins, I'll tell you something. He goes, what's it called? He goes, strength beats toughness any day of the week and twice on Sunday. And just the way that, you know, one thing I get inspired about Conor, how articulate he is. Very, very articulate. Doesn't stutter.
Really, I never thought of that.
Nah, very well spoken, Allah, but he can sell. He can sell.
Okay.
Number 4, I think this was just the air raid, Fair Income. Number 4, 100%.
Which app? What's your favorite?
All of them. Number 5, Andrew Huberman and Joe Rogan, but specifically episode 1513.
1513.
Yeah, they're my top 5 episodes.
Anything coming to mind, Ali? You got yours? What's coming to mind for you?
I got 2 on the top of my head. And then, wait, can I do 2 and then 3 later? Or do you want to go?
I'm going through my history, trying to find something.
Yeah,
okay, I'll go slowly then. Okay, so
Sorry, cut you off. Well, I love you, Ali.
Go ahead.
But you guys know this one's got to be on the top 5. To take out Fair Income, a good leave Fair Income. But that's obvious. Yeah. The Safina podcast about sleep.
Yeah, that's a good one.
The Safina.
I'm gonna tell everyone now. It's the Safina Society podcast.
The number 1
It's
epidemic.
called the massive epidemic nobody's talking about. It came out 15th of November 2018. So go search for that one.
Straight up.
Yeah.
Okay, so for my list, from what I can remember, is it like in order? Like
no, just whatever.
Yeah, okay. So the first one I would say would probably be Diary of a CEO with Jimmy Carr, the comedian.
Okay.
Because I know how like controversial he is with his humor and like he has no filter. Like there's certain people wouldn't like his humor because how like inappropriate it is and stuff. And the podcast was obviously he was the main guest, but it's completely the opposite to what like his comedy is. And it's not what I expected. And I've seen snippets in that before. I watched them thinking, this guy's talking about life and purpose and stuff. I'm like, what the heck?
Down to earth guy?
Yeah, I didn't know like he had this like these thoughts. And then I listened to it and he started talking about like, being who you are, self-belief and all this type of talk. I'm like, I'm starting to realize like comedians and like how they think about before doing like behind the scenes of doing their craft. Like, you got to believe in like your jokes. You got to take in like failures. You just got to accept it and move on.
Okay.
Not listen to everyone's opinion. So it's like that really changed my perspective on like comedians.
Yeah.
I'll say another one is Ramit Sethi with Tim Ferriss.
What a China.
It's on your list, yeah? I knew it. So this guy talks about like, it doesn't matter like how much money you make, but he talks about like, creating your own rich life per se.
Yeah.
So like, for example, I would say like you're working full time, you're getting 50K a year, for example, but then you're putting like a certain amount of money through to your long-term savings and emergency, so that's sorted. And then once you do that, then you put another percentage of like, splurge money or whatever it is. And with that money, you can literally use on the things you love. So either like extra convenience or just buy more clothes because you love clothes or shoes or that type of thing. Yeah. You can probably dive into it more because it's on your list.
I'll just dive into it now because it's like I've read a lot of finance books and listened to a lot of finance podcasts, and every single one or most of them talk about how to budget better, like the total money makeover, how to take care of every single dollar. I need to know where every dollar goes. And a lot of people do that, and it's like calorie counting. You're not going to stay it. And he has a very different philosophy to budgeting and finance. He goes, look, don't track every dollar. You just got to have a rough estimation. He talks about how much you actually need to be successful. He's got a book, I Will Teach You to Be Rich. And he tries to teach you the mindset of like Ali said, you got to pick certain areas in your life and spend whatever you want. Whatever you want, spend it to kind of make your life live like that. And in other areas that you don't care about, be frugal. You got to pick and choose. So whatever those areas are, and he kind of like teach you how to have a rich life. Yeah. So a lot of times I've heard every single finance podcast I listen to, it's all about budgeting and how to be, how to care about every single dollar. So he kind of taught me a different mindset on finances.
That's lit.
Yeah. What about you, Ali?
Cool. Okay. From the top of my head, I can't type that quick.
No books or something?
No, I'm literally looking in areas just
trying to get inspired.
Yeah, because I can't really think. I didn't have a chance to look at all.
That's fine. If you want, I can go. And if you think of something, unless something else came to mind.
No, you go, yeah.
Okay. Well, I was going to say that, Ramit Sethi.
Yeah. Timmy's got to be in there.
Yeah, so I was going to say one of my favorite books I read 2021 was 4 Hour Workweek. Yep. And there's a podcast that just came out. It's called The Lost Presentation that launched the 4 Hour Workweek.
Yeah.
Secrets of Doing More with Less in the Digital World. It's a lecture he gave in 2007 to Stanford, and that got republished. He thought he lost it. And that I really loved that because of the summary of it all, and it kind of just...
Is that an old episode?
It he recently posted it. Maybe he's
Okay.
done it again. I'm not too sure.
Yeah.
But that's what I listened to 2021, and they got to me.
Yeah.
Ramit Sethi was there. There was one, because Ramit Sethi inspired a new way of thinking, the same as the Tim Ferriss. There was one by, it's Real AF with Andy Frisella.
Okay.
It's called 75 Hard, a tactical guide to winning the war with yourself. And why I put it in my top 5 is it's literally explaining what 75 Hard is.
Yep.
And I didn't do 75 Hard. I made my own mental toughness challenge, which was a bit more beneficial to what I want. But this inspired me to be thinking like that, to make that challenge, which was life-changing, mental toughness challenge, which took us like 100 days to do technically. Yeah. And that podcast inspired me to think like that. So that's why I'd put it there.
I rate that.
So that
can't wait to have, you know how what's his name, Matt Diavella has like the rock and he just keeps on pushing the rock, the rock. The way we push like Tim Ferriss better come on this episode.
We need a Naval thingy. And I think this year was one of the first years I actually didn't listen to as many podcasts because I was doing the Sira. So I've listened to like 80 of the Sira. So I've listened to 80 podcasts of that. And I'll have to put it, even though it's not a podcast, it's a lecture series. It's easily like,
it has to be up there.
It's one of the best, if not the best investment I've made in 2021, if not in my life. Listening to the Sira.
That's what's up.
So it's like, that is the best podcast, for me, which I'm really enjoying,
So that's a top 3 then.
Yeah.
I rate that. 2 that come on top of your head? Just
randomly?
Well,
the Safina podcast, Ramit Sethi, Tim, 75 Hard, and then the Sira, If not, I always recommend Trevor Moawad on Impact Theory.
Oh, I was going to say that.
Like whenever I get someone, I always send a 35 minutes podcast. That's the podcast I listen to the most times in my life.
Yeah, it's an all-time high. And it's a 30-minute podcast.
Anything
Rest in peace, Trevor Moawad. He
Wait,
died
have you
last
finished?
year.
Yeah.
He died,
R.I.P. Did you finish your list?
Khalas.
Okay, so I had one with Ali Abdaal's podcast with, what's his name? Brent Francis. Talking business.
Yeah, that was actually a good one.
So essentially it's all about business and just like, expanding business and like creating that balance.
CEO of Gymshark, yeah?
Yeah, CEO of Gymshark. Yeah. He's what, 29 now? But so you just, it's all about business, expanding business, hiring people and just creating that balance between business and personal. It's a long episode. It's like 2 episode. I can't remember exactly what they spoke about.
You resonated a lot with that.
Yeah, a lot.
Okay.
I just had it before. Where is it? Give me 1 second. Johann Hari with Diary of a CEO.
That was 2022. You listened to it.
Oh yeah, damn.
Johann. Why does he comes to mind?
No, you're right.
He's been on Joe Rogan talking about antidepressants, psychological side of mental health. Very interesting. All of his podcasts are again one of. He's a guy.
So many great podcasts out there, regardless.
And especially like that Fair Dinkum one.
Yeah. I've never heard of it, but
banger. I would say, where was he? Trying to find him. Where's his head?
Interesting how like podcasts weren't really a thing, like as in listening to it on a daily basis or whatever. Now it's like a form of conversation. Oh, so what podcast are you listening to? That type of thing. But 4 or 5 years ago, it was not a thing at all.
Yeah, I think it's because like a lot of people don't have that in their life, like long-term, like deep conversations. So then they obviously, when you find it online, it's like, oh, there actually are people that talk about these topics, and you feel like you're part of it.
Yeah, 100%.
You can't have your say.
100%.
It's interesting that all of us, we picked ones that are like interviewee, 2 people. They're not like chats on a couch.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like even though we create a podcast with chats on a couch, but then 50% of the time we're interviewing guests.
Yep.
It's interesting that, but it's what.
But I have those podcasts though where I listen to it, but they're like, I don't consider them like my greatest podcasts to listen to. I just listen to them at specific times. Like if I'm driving to a trade site or something like that and I need 1 hour just like to be brain dead type of thing.
Casual listen.
Just casual listen where I'm not trying to like think and not only that, like I'm trying to actually not trying to understand what the person's trying to say, then I'm more than happy to listen to something that's just like a brain fart type of thing.
Yeah, I'm the same. I have some times where it's just casual listen, filthy fellas, whatever it is.
Yeah.
But it's what you need.
I got one more. I don't know if that makes 5.
That's like 7, but yeah.
That takes 20 minutes for this.
Deep dive Ali Abdaal with UnJaded Jade.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
cut
that out. No, because she's still in uni, so I can relate to her. And then even the idea of toxic productivity, I didn't know existed. Like I didn't really understand it as much until she broke it down, and creating that balance of productivity in your life and essentially understanding why you implement in your life and kind of understanding when to stop,
Mm.
when to take that break, and just creating that balance essentially. So that was up there for sure.
Mm. I've always wanted to suss out this podcast because it always gets hype on social media or whatever. It always pops up on my Twitter. Digital Sisterhood, and they've been doing very, very well. I don't know what they do, but they always come on my time. I'm like, why the hell is this one
On
coming?
TikTok, you said?
No, Twitter thingy. And Lambari, they're pretty well established in that sense.
Sure.
But I've always just been
Are
curious.
they located here, overseas?
Couldn't tell you. All I know is they have a pink background, and I said no. No, I'm joking.
Fair. How about, we spoke about mental toughness, and our journey. What's some books that kind of helped along the journey, or some books that kind of stood out over the last couple of years? It's like some book recommendations for people.
Book recommendations that come to mind straight away.
Let me just think. Let's see if I have the photo for it.
Ooh,
Yeah, because some people asked on Instagram, I remember, they said book recommendations, and then we never gave it because we wanted to make a
let's
video
just
on
do
it.
one book, yeah?
If 2, 3 come to mind, do it. If not, just,
Yeah. Let me think of mine.
Okay. Well, like we said, Can't Hurt Me before.
Yeah,
We
Can't
spoke
Hurt
about
Me.
that. On an audiobook or physical, audiobook is better. It's
Yeah.
more recommended.
You can't go wrong with Can't Hurt Me.
Yeah, so that was a good book by David Goggins. I think a book that stood out to me was Compound Effect by Darren Hardy.
Yep.
I really love that book. A lot of people talk about atomic habits and how good it is. I like this more, just about the importance of like little things compounding over a long time. Very easy read, very easy book to read. I highly recommend that to a lot of people. I think How to Win Friends and Influence People, Dale Carnegie. We all read that. We all loved it.
Mm-hmm.
That's up there. It's difficult to recommend certain books to people because you don't know who the person is listening.
Yeah, certain.
So it depends on the person's mindset and stuff like that.
Time and place.
Yeah.
I know a good read, like it's just like a light-hearted book, but it has like certain concepts and ideas that it develops onto, and unless you pick up on it, then you won't really realize. But how'd I go? It left my mind. When Breath Becomes Air. When Breath Becomes Air, it was one of those books for me where it's just like I read it consistently. I couldn't put it down. Like, it's always a recommendation I give to people.
I like that.
I'm reading currently Critical Conversations, and I can't
Crucial
put that.
Conversations.
Critical Conversations.
Is it called Critical?
Yeah, Critical
Okay.
Conversations. It is a deadly book so far. It's a lot of concepts that I already not know in depth, but it's just how it's more the psychology of people. I feel like it's more of a psychological book than it is a self-help book. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You learn
That's a
more
good
about
one.
yourself and how you put yourself in certain...
Would you say it's similar to How to Win Friends?
No.
Okay.
Different,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, because everyone's at different stages of the book journey. And if you've read certain books, like, for example, if you're contemplating life and there's a lot of things that you want to do and sometimes you can't achieve it all, Essentialism is a very good book.
It is.
Ali, one of Ali's favorite books. Yeah.
Because it kind of just simplifies the things you want to do, because a lot of people can get super excited
Mm-hmm.
and they don't realize that they can tend to be overexcited, where you start 10,000 things and it's just like, oh, you don't have the time to actually implement them all and actually move forward to those goals. Like, it's not realistic in your life.
I'm pretty sure it's like The Pursuit of
Less.
by Greg McKeown. So that's a very good book, Essentialism. I think you put Barefoot Investor up there.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Barefoot. Have you read Barefoot?
I haven't, but I'm
Okay,
just
that's
thinking
a
of the
good
jokes. Let's go for barefoot walks and all this kind of stuff.
Nah, like, apart from the idea of like the nights and that, barefoot nights and that, it's actually good because obviously you don't have to do exactly what he does, like his template of how you structure your finances, but it's good to start with. And then you kind of work with whatever you have and how much money you make and stuff.
For sure.
But it's good because it creates like an idea of like emergency funds and how much it gives you an idea of how much percent to put in your long-term savings, and also another account to have like guilt-free spending.
Yeah.
And that's been a game changer for me, like guilt-free spending. It's like, yeah, I'll get $150. What am I going to do with this? Like, and I actually have no guilt when I spend that money these days. So that's helped a lot.
Trying to be like you.
And I think like touching on that, the last one I probably want to do is like Obstacle is the Way. That was a big book early on that Legendarii and I resonated on, because it kind of taught you that perspective where it's like you're in control of your thoughts. The same thing as, Man's Search for Meaning talks about, like, you're in control of how you react to things. Obstacle is the Way said, like, there's always going to be obstacles in life, but it's your choice, how you react to it, and going through it is how you're going to improve and get better. So Obstacle is the Way by Ryan Holiday was a really good book that helped along that journey.
Forever be in the top 5 of all books.
Yeah, and it's a very easy book to read.
Very small, easy.
Okay.
Oh, I wouldn't say small, but yeah.
I'll touch on the next one. So there was a comment for Ali by Amro Abdullah. Shall I pronounce that right? You guys will see it on the screen now. She goes, I basically have the same personality as Ali, quiet and reserved, but want to be more outspoken. But how do I force myself to make that change? And book advice for that, if there is any. If not, just how do I force myself to make that change?
It's actually, I reckon it's a hard one, because I've had that thought as well, like, oh, I want to be outspoken. But you have to ask yourself why you want to be considered outspoken. Maybe it is like generally just to like create deeper connections with your friends, you know, be able to be more transparent, or like get to even meet new people and have the ability to speak to new people. But I'd say it starts with like self-belief, because even this like idea of like, you know, people saying, you know, quiet, shy, like obviously people put these like narratives on you. They say these terms, but sometimes it could just be a term where it's like they don't really mean it, or it's not really something that's embedded in you, but you know, you start to believe it over time.
Yeah.
I honestly think like introvert, extrovert and all this type of thing, it's not as deep as people think it is. So I think it's something you can work on. It's not easy to talk about, to be honest. It's a bit personal, but I would say like seeking more knowledge on those type of topics, like people talking about their experiences and like insecurities, or just like, because you know, going through podcasts like we mentioned, like some of the recommendations, you start to understand people are coming from situations, and that like it's not as deep as you might think. You just have to like go into the world and try new things, and it'll, like over time you start to develop it if you keep putting yourself in those situations. You know, to meet new people, to speak to your friends more often, socialize.
But it has been a hard thing for you sometimes at times, like with the podcast, like, you know, sometimes we might demand for you to talk more with a guest, or topics or podcasts. Like it's something where it's like, you know, you have to kind of step up and you feel uncomfortable when other people are telling you, and you get comments from other people. How'd you cope with that? Because sometimes like there's a bit more pressure with you on a podcast expected to talk than a brother who's at like his soccer club that's not really talking. You know what I mean? Like it's a bit more. Yeah.
I think no matter what the situation is, like even when you start to realize that you're overcoming it, there's still going to be people saying like comments, or like, you know, labeling you, you know, quiet, whatever you want, what other words you want, introvert, all these words. So like you just have to accept, like, no matter what, these things are inevitable for people to label you. Like even if it's not just personality, it's like a lot of things in life. People like to label others. I don't know why it is, but it's just like, I don't know. It's you need like a strong support group as well. Like, you know, actually speaking to them and seeing what their opinion is of you as well. Like, because a lot of people, you start to realize like it might seem quiet and shy, like a thing where it's like, oh, it's not something to be proud of or whatever. But a lot of people respect it. They actually respect that you don't talk much, you listen more. And like even you listen to like some like great authors and that they say like listen more and like speak less. It's like, it's one of the things where you should implement in your life. So it's like, if you really got that, honestly, that's pretty good. You should be proud of that. You have to embrace it. It's just, you work with that foundation, and then.
So sometimes people think it's a weakness when it's actually a strength.
Exactly. You can use it as strength. It's all about your perspective on those things.
I know that, for example, me as a big talker growing up, I kind of wish it's harder for me to kind of listen more instead of talking, like quick thoughts and stuff like that. So it is something that you kind of have to work on and tweak. How about like, you know, because you're on the podcast and stuff, but then like teaching, you have to kind of be out there talking to the kids, speaking like that. Like, did that make you feel uncomfortable? Because sometimes like a lot of sisters, they'll have a job, like they might be a nurse, and like I'm introverted, I don't want to go up to new people. But it's like your job kind of expects you to do it. Was there something was like even a bit awkward first when you started getting some teaching experience? I
remember at Cedar, so 16 years old, because once a week on Fridays we'd go to like primary schools and do like soccer clinics, and we'll go into pairs. So I was with the older guy, and he was like super comfortable with the kids. I'm like, damn, this is like, this is when I was a lot more reserved as well. And then I'm thinking, damn, this is like overwhelming. And then I tried talking to the kids and I buckled hard. And I'm thinking to myself later on that day, bro, these are primary school kids. Why am I buckling? They don't care. Like, whatever, even if I do say the best presentation and I try G them up and I'm proud of what I said, they probably forgot about it. So it's just like,
it's all in your head.
Exactly. It's all in your head. And I kind of forgot what you said.
Try to control those thoughts as well.
How about just with the term labeling? Because sometimes like you meet new people and they'll go, oh yeah, Ahmed's quiet. oh, Muhammad's quiet, this guy's loud. And you obviously, like you said, people love to label, and people always want it because then it's like, if I label you, I know who you are. It's like saying someone's quiet doesn't mean you know who they are. It's just like it's one characteristic that might be wrong. So you probably know that people say you're quiet or introverted and stuff, and that's probably the same for a lot of these viewers. Or do you agree that like these labels should be used, or you don't agree with them? Should people try to steer away from them? Because it becomes, like you said, self-belief. It's how you identify yourself. I'm a quiet person, you know?
I would say the idea of labeling people, like, it's not necessary. I don't think it's necessary. Even if I do, I might say like something, even if it's nice, I might say something about another brother or some of the boys and stuff. But even if they do, obviously you can't change what they say about you or other things in general, their opinions. So you have to kind of think of it in a positive way. It's like maybe they're just saying it because like that's what they think of you, but it's not a bad thing, and just like thinking in a positive way. I'd say, yeah.
And I think when you identify yourself with certain words or terms, it becomes harder to change.
Yeah, it is.
Because like 100 people told me I'm quiet, and then it's like, because I just want to start talking about soccer. It's like, why are you talking so much? Aren't you quiet? It's like, bro, what are you talking about? People think they can identify you.
You get boxed in.
Okay, we'll go to the next one. I just realized because in the last 2 weeks, this brother, Idris Qasim, asked twice. I was like, that, mashallah, he's a keen viewer, and we like to see it. He asked how to learn Arabic, vocabulary, grammar, tips and methodology, and like Fusha and Ammiya. So obviously you and I went for a year, so maybe we can try to answer that and try to help him out. And if you have any questions, because obviously you did some Arabic courses and stuff like that, what's some podcasts on learning or tips you'd kind of give, you know, learning languages?
I'd say that the tips in general, like whether it's... So this guy wants to learn Fusha, he said? Yeah.
I think Fusha, Arabic, learning languages in general.
Idris is his name.
Okay. So
Idris Qasim.
Okay, so I'll start with like saying to Idris that like you start with the conversational words and like the most common words used in like those type of scenarios. So you think about like if you like, let's just, you have to pretend like of a potential scenario, like, okay, I meet a brother and it's like he's speaking Arabic, and then you ask him about speaking Arabic, but you want to say it in like Arabic because it's like more of a connection. What are the words you're going to use, whether apart from like how are you and stuff? Oh, it's going to be like, yeah, I'm learning Arabic, I want to learn more. You know, can you teach me? Like these type of words, practice it and try get a partner. Like you start with vocab. I would say grammar would work after like getting a solid foundation of vocab.
Yeah.
What would you say? Would you say the same thing?
I think vocab is the foundation. Like if you don't know 1,000 words, I'm just making up a number, but about 1,000 words, you shouldn't really be learning grammar. You know, because you can barely have a conversation. Like you can't even say, how are you, how's your day? And you're going to be learning grammar. It's a bit too confronting. So the best thing to do is, like you said, try to learn conversations. You know, keep trying to get a basic level. You can Google the most, like 100 most common words. And then after you do the 100 most common words, try to look at phrases, because then you'll be able to memorize 3, 4, 5 words at one time. You know, so you learn like, I want to eat this. And then you just later you say, I want to sleep. And you change one word, because you learned a sentence. I want to, I need to, you know, so try to learn phrases if you can. Arabic takes time. It's actually a very hard language to learn. You know, it's in one of the toughest languages. They say it takes, full-time study takes about 2 years to be able to speak Fusha and Ammiya, and there's different levels. Arabic is one of those things, if you want to understand the Quran, it's different than conversation on the streets. So you're going to have to put in the time, but the reward will be worth it. You know, it's one of those things that you just keep putting in the work. I think for books, the best thing would be vocabulary books. Like, you know, we did Bayna Yadayk for a year. And now we can speak Arabic conversations, but like Quran's a bit more in depth and tafsir and stuff like that. So I think if you can try to find a book that's not too grammar based, because grammar confuses you and then you don't really improve. And it's like, I've been doing this for 2 months and I saw an Arab at the mosque and I can't talk to him. It's like, you feel like you're not improving. So try to get the vocabs and stuff in. There's some good YouTube accounts, Al-Andalus Institute. They have some good Arabic resources. Ali and I like a brother named Nathaniel Drew. He's got a lot of language videos and stuff like that. Look, we're people who studied one language. There's a lot of people who've studied 3, 4, 5, and that's probably be more equipped to teach you. So maybe we can try to get someone on soon, but it's one of those things you just have to kind of put in the work. It's going to be a bit uncomfortable. You know, learning languages does get tough, but if you do put in the work, you know, Arabic, there's a lot of blessings in it, you know?
Yeah.
It's worth it.
I'd say for people that don't know as well, Fusha is like means classical Arabic, and Ammiya means like slang, so like the street talk.
Yeah.
And also just like with learning languages in general, whether it's Arabic or any other language, you have to make mistakes to learn. So like the idea of like, oh, he's gonna think like, you know, I'm struggling, like, oh, he doesn't really know the language. But a lot of people actually appreciate you making the effort, even if you are making mistakes. They're willing to help. So you have to just, you know, accept and move, like actually work with it.
Yeah, and obviously I don't know what level you're on or other people, because there might be some people who kind of can speak Arabic and they want to go in the second stage. And for some tips to kind of go on the second stage, it's maybe watching TV shows, you know, like watching maybe like there's some Arabic lectures and you kind of listen more to quicker Arabic, like people walking on the street, or even try journal in your language or vlog, or turn on the camera and try talk to yourself, because then you can like try to reflect on your day. And then you'll be like, oh, you know, today was actually really interesting. I got to see my friend. And it's like, how do I say interesting? You know, the food was really delicious. And try to change the words around, because you can't just, like every time someone asks you, how are you, say good. It's like try to learn some other descriptive words, you know? Yeah. So I think journaling helped a lot when I could journal in another language. That really helped. And then each time you just keep learning new words, you know? You're not going to get better in one day, but like it's going to get better over time, yeah.
It's a journey, yeah.
Is there anything on you that you've heard, or you know, some advice you gave? Because you did the Arabic course here. I haven't studied Arabic in Melbourne. Like you remember some advice
I was just studying more like vocabulary and stuff, but
anything like stood out, like that was actually a good advice someone gave, or tip, or?
No, not really. I just say if you really want to do something, I guess just immerse yourself in the environment.
That's true.
Yeah, just expose yourself more, than I guess you pick it up naturally without trying, you know? Like you guys being in Jordan to learn Arabic or whatnot, you probably learn much more compared to if you're in Australia and not using it as much.
Yeah.
So I think watching the TV shows, that's good advice. Being around people that speak Arabic, try and force your conversations with that. But yeah, try and immerse yourself in that environment. And that's not just for Arabic, any language you really want to know. Like I know you did Spanish, whatever, all that kind of stuff. You guys probably can speak about that a little bit. But it helps a little bit with any language. Sign language, anything.
Everyone knows like Malcolm Gladwell made the 10,000 hour rule famous to be an expert. But there's a podcast about 20 hours to learn anything. You know, and if you put 20 hours, like deliberate, like half an hour, 45 minutes a day for a month, you can actually probably surprise yourself. But like anything, it's like practice doesn't make perfect. Perfect practice makes perfect. Yeah. So you have to train and learn languages in the right way to get the most benefit. And sometimes you might spend an hour a day, but you're doing grammar, and it's a bit too intense at first. You know, when you're a baby, you don't learn grammar, you just learn random words. So that's kind of the best way to learn a language, because then you kind of feel confident in your skill set. It's self-belief.
100%.
And the best way to do that is just doing, you know, more vocab words and stuff like that.
100%.
Yeah.
It's a marathon too as well. It's a long journey. It's not something you're going to pick up overnight, like you guys said. So you got to be in it for the long run, like a Kenyan.
Were there any other?
No, I think that's about it. So if you guys do have any other questions, or you do want us to answer it, you know, we're going to try our best now to answer it. You know, we're going to do our... I just said it twice. We're going to do our best to answer your questions, obviously. You know, we're a family. Keep dropping topics you guys want us to talk about. And hopefully in the next couple of weeks, we're going to get guests. So Hal missed out today. He's a bit sick, but inshallah, he'll be back soon.